What if one simple mineral could improve your sleep, mood, bone health, metabolism all at once? Enter magnesium, your underrated wellness powerhouse. Let's dive into why every woman should know her magnesium types and their benefits. So, welcome, Sarah, to this episode, which I'm really excited about. Welcome
Thank you.
to WellYES, where science meets the latest wellness trends. I'm Walter, founder at Hum.
And I'm Sarah Greenfield, a functional medicine dietitian.
All right, Sarah. Well, look, before we get going, we're both dressed in magnesium color. I love it, more or less, right? So
We always somehow kind of match, at least.
I know, but
Every
I swear to you, like we never compare notes. It's like this is not a fashion podcast, so that's the last thing we talk about. We talk about nutrition at all, like along, in great depth.
Yeah.
It's good to see you. How are things?
Things are good. Things are good. Just, enjoying the last couple weeks of summer.
Yeah, I know it's been but I can't believe it's already August. It's just crazy.
I know. I don't think time is real, but that's another topic for another podcast.
Well, let's do a time capsule one. That's a very good idea. I love that. But it's good to see you, and I'm really
Yeah, you
excited
too.
about this topic specifically. And what I love about magnesium as a topic, it is so important, has so many benefits, and there's still so much misconception out there. And our job is to just clarify a few things here, and hopefully people can take away a few things about magnesium that are really helpful, and some tips and hacks on how to incorporate magnesium into their daily lives, because it truly is a wellness powerhouse, if you will. And let's start with a few stats maybe here. Number one is like 50% of Americans consume less than the RDI for magnesium. So clearly there's a high risk of deficiency when it comes to magnesium. And I wonder why that is. And the other piece is I think magnesium itself has an impact on about 300 bodily functions, which is incredible. So it really is the oil that keeps the engine running, I would argue. It's not energy, of course, but it is truly like so important when it comes to like your muscle health, your cognitive health. You name it, magnesium has definitely impact your mood, your sleep, your digestion. I mean, heart health, which we know is so critical. But anyway, the list is long and so are the misconceptions, but let's dive right into it basically. Why do you think so many people do not get sufficient amounts of magnesium?
Magnesium is found often in dark leafy greens. So I think overall, collectively, most people don't get enough vegetables in their diet. And also, when we look at the way things are grown, the nutrient source or where we're getting magnesium is from the soil. So, if we're getting vegetables that are from over farm soils that didn't have time to replete all of the magnesium levels, then we're not getting it already from the food in high enough quantities. Then we're not eating enough of it in the foods that we're eating. And then there's also potentially some digestive imbalances. A lot of people have some sort of bloating or constipation or diarrhea. There's a lot of imbalances within the gut. So I think it's kind of a multi-pronged issue, but those are the main reasons that I really see people not getting enough magnesium.
And let's maybe start at the basics. Like, what is magnesium? It's a mineral. That's all I know.
Mhm.
But what is it? Um,
Yeah, it's a
Tell me
mineral
more.
that's it's just like you said, it's involved in over 30 different enzymatic reactions in the body. And it's part of the Krebs cycle, which is important for making energy. It's part of muscle contraction. It's important for brain health. It's important for nerve function. So, like you said, every little thing that our body does, magnesium is this powerhouse mineral that our bodies really, really need to function optimally.
And what are the sort of key benefits when it comes to magnesium? Like, I think there's a few buckets in which to categorize them. Do you know them?
Yeah, I use it a lot, no surprise, for digestion. It really helps with easing constipation. So that's one that I use it for. I use it for sleep, which is really beneficial. I also like to use it for boosting energy. Like I said, it's part of the Krebs cycle. So making ATP and our natural energy sources, those are kind of when I think of magnesium and bone health, that's another one. I mean, 60% of our magnesium is stored in our bones. So it's another important one in the conversation of bone health.
And of course, not every magnesium is created equal, right? And there's like amounts you have to be aware of. And we spoke about deficiencies, but is there like sort of a blank standard amount of magnesium people should take on a daily basis? Or does it depend on the type of magnesium that you're taking? Because obviously there's different
Yeah.
types of magnesiums. We're going to dive into those in a second. Um, but I'm just curious from your perspective, like what do you recommend to people that you work with when it comes to actually the amount of magnesium that they should be taking on a daily basis?
Yeah, good question. It really does depend on the amount, but typically 300 to 350 milligrams is kind of in the range that I go with people, depending on the type and depending on what they're using it for. Because as we said, magnesium has a lot of different uses. So you could be on a magnesium supplement for a variety of different concerns.
Got it. And let's go through the different types of magnesium, because obviously, when you look at the category, you can buy magnesium supplements for a few dollars up to like, double digits, but high double digits basically. And it really comes down what kind of magnesium you are after and why. Why don't we go through the most common ones basically? And I would argue probably magnesium citrate is the one that you find a lot on shelves across the nation. What is magnesium citrate and like how are they? Because there's obviously different forms. Like I think it comes down how the
Yeah.
minerals are bound basically.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about like that and like what magnesium citrate specifically is good for and maybe not so good for.
So magnesium citrate, like you said, is probably going to be your most standard formulation. That's what you'll see in most supplements, just most general magnesium supplements. And that one is, I kind of think of it as pretty absorbable, but not the most absorbable. So you're going to be able to use that for a lot of different functions. It's good for digestive issues with constipation. There are other magnesium options that are even more potent when it comes to basically pulling water into the intestines, and that helps really like get things moving if you're struggling with constipation. So a lot of times you'll see magnesium citrate in that form for like optimizing digestive health. You'll also see it for helping with sleep because it does have that absorption capability, but it's not the most absorbable.
Well, let's talk about then the next one, which is extremely popular, and that's been trending massively year over year, which is glycinate, magnesium glycinate, and there's also bisglycinate. Maybe you can talk us through what the benefits are and what the differences are as well when it comes to glycinate versus magnesium bisglycinate.
Yeah, so with glycinate and bisglycinate, they're both highly absorbable. So they're both really, really good options. They do start to get a little pricier when you look at those types of magnesium. Another one that I also put in that category is threonate. So magnesium threonate is also very absorbable. And those are better used for things like sleep, anxiety, decreasing stress, because that's not going to have that same impact on the gut. It's not going to have that water pulling effect. So it's really good for sleep and not worrying about if I take too much, I could potentially have diarrhea.
Got it.
Whereas with citrate and oxide, magnesium oxide, diarrhea is a concern when you hit higher doses.
Yeah, and I mean they're generally like very well absorbed, as you said, also like
Yeah.
easy to digest. So it's a really pleasant experience. Like me personally, I really lean into the glycinate or bisglycinate
Yeah.
for magnesium because for sleep and relaxation specifically, and I think
Mhm.
they're really good. But you also mentioned there's another one that's even stronger when it comes to constipation. Which one would that be? What is the one that pulls the most water into your gut?
That's magnesium oxide. That one is my go-to favorite. I think it's really important for anyone that struggles with constipation to at least give that formulation a try because it's like a bowel cleanser. So it's something, and it's better than things that are um, like laxatives. Laxatives can have a problematic effect if you use them for too long, but magnesium will not,
Hmm.
or the magnesium oxide. So it's a really, really beneficial supplement when you're struggling with constipation or inconsistent stool.
And then last on my list is actually magnesium taurate. What is that used for?
So that's really good for regulating blood pressure. And that one is going to have more of a heart protective benefit because you have taurine in there, which is an amino acid combined with the magnesium. So that's a really, when you're thinking about how can I use this for my specific concern, it's going to be more heart health focused.
Got it. And one more, which is malate.
So that's magnesium with malic acid, which is part of, I mentioned the Krebs cycle. Malic acid is going to be taken apart from the magnesium and used to produce energy. So now you have two essential compounds, the magnesium and the malic acid, that are going to also promote energy metabolism. So it's really good for fatigue, fibromyalgia symptoms, things like that.
Okay, so just to sum it all up, basically, a little cheat sheet here for our listeners. For sleep or stress, we probably recommend glycinate, I guess. For constipation, it sounds like you really like magnesium oxide. Is that correct?
Yeah. And
Uh,
citrate. Citrate works well too. Magnesium oxide is just like the next level up.
and then for energy, magnesium malate, I
Yeah.
suppose, right? And generally
Yeah.
speaking. Okay, that was super helpful. Let's move on to our next segment, which is our well, yes, and well, no. I think on the topic of sleep and relaxation, my big well, yes is like banning any forms of electronics in the bedroom. So I'm very like even like when I travel and I have a hotel room, I literally like try to block all the LED lights. I just don't like any light or electricity disturbing me when I'm sleeping, and I have no TV in my bedroom. I just don't like that. And I think it's a great way of just like making sure you keep your space where you're actually meant to sleep to a space where you can actually sleep really, really well. So I'm very light sensitive. There's a lot of research around that too. And I think generally speaking, like electronics also stimulate you. And it's really better practice to stay away from screens like about half an hour prior to falling asleep. So big fan of that. And my well no this week is I'm blanking completely. I forgot what it was now, but it doesn't matter. It will come back to me. Why don't we do your well yeses and your well
Okay, we'll
nos?
jump into mine.
Yeah.
My well, yes, for if we're thinking about sleep and stress is CBD. I know that's not kind of like the most profound wellness topic, but I do see a lot of really good research around CBD. Even THC, I don't think I can promote that, but CBD is a really good place to start when it comes to optimizing sleep and just kind of decreasing anxiety in the body. And it's also good for digestive health. So that's my well, yes. And my well, no is mega dosing on melatonin.
Okay.
I think too it's like a good thing doesn't mean that more of it is better. So I think there's times in certain circumstances if you're working with a practitioner where you could go up in the milligrams of melatonin, but it's not something I would recommend on your own. Like usually that 2 to 3 milligram range is going to be really beneficial for sleep and just calming down the body, but going up in higher doses is not something I would recommend. So
Yeah,
that's my well no.
and also all the research is about like 3 milligrams is a really good dosage, and
Yeah.
like even lower dosages have been beneficial, and there's literally no difference between those higher dosages and lower. So I'm fully on the same page. My well no actually is like the taste of magnesium powders on the market. Maybe there's a business idea there, but like they just
Yeah.
all taste so awful. I don't know why. I mean, it's really hard to I love taking magnesium because it's a very beneficial mineral, as we just discussed, but I think they're just awful tasting on the market. It's not a single one. Anyway, just an
Yeah.
idea there. But anyway, that was really helpful.
Yeah.
Let's conclude with our RD rapid fire. Sarah, rate the following supplements for sleep. Again, 0 doesn't work at all. 10 absolute star. Let's start with melatonin.
10.
Passion flower,
10.
valerian root,
10.
hops,
10.
L-theanine,
I'll go with a 9 just because it's not directly correlated to sleep, but it calms the body and actually can help you fall asleep faster. So it is and it isn't. But yes, 9.
glycine,
9.
GABA,
9.
reishi,
Give that a 7.
and ashwagandha, which has had its moment a few years ago.
Yeah, 7.
All right. Well, again, you're being super generous this week, but that was really, really helpful.
Yeah, that one's so fun.
And I think on the note, and this is a really interesting study I want to just highlight for a second, the combination of passion flower, valerian root, and hops
Yeah.
was actually tested in a clinical trial against Ambien. So it wasn't placebo controlled, but it was like on the one hand, you had like a pharmaceutical drug. On the other group would have like those 3 herbs in a specific combination. And it turned out that those 3 herbs were really, really potent, and I believe just as potent as the ambient control, if you will. And so there's definitely some really solid science behind these. And sleep is so critical. It's definitely something to look into. But thank you, Sarah, for that. That was super helpful.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
Magnesium, doesn't always get the spotlight it deserves. But after today, we hope it will be more understood, whether it's from sleep benefits to metabolism boosts to bone health and mood health. There really is a magnesium for every concern. Thanks, Sarah, so much again for guiding us. And thank you for everybody who's listening to this podcast. If you like what you heard, please give us a like, follow us, drop a comment with questions. We really appreciate those. And special thanks to our producer, Brooke, and our production assistant, Fatima. So that's our WellYES for the week on magnesium. I see you very soon, Sarah.
Yeah,
And
see you soon.
as always, it was a great pleasure.